Welcome guys! As announced earlier, it's time for another post-commentary video. This one is from my final climb, I should say, in Season 13, where I play Handlock and encountered Gaara on my climb to the top spots of Legend ranks. Usually this the matchup against Warrior is all about getting Drakes and Giants early on, so I tossed everything away and got neither Giants nor Drakes, but I have a few draws to come. Both Control and Combo Warriors usually play it pretty slow in this matchup, so that's pretty much autopilot. The Warlock draws and the Warrior armors up. What could happen here is a turn 3 Acolyte of Pain, usually. Sometimes they play it as here. Because this usually means they have cards to combo it. I will just pause the video here for a second. So him placing the Acolyte on the board holds a few risks, because Warriors drawing cards always bad, basically. So if I had a Darkbomb or maybe even a Hellfire, I probably would use it here. But as you can see, I have neither of these, so it's pretty obvious that the next move is going to be tap. And given that I have 10 cards now, I have to toss away the coin. If I would have drawn into Darkbomb, I could have coined out the Darkbomb, but I also don't have a turn 4 play yet. At this point, I just hope that he doesn't have a Cruel Taskmaster to combo with the Acolyte. Or maybe an Inner Age if he's a little bit more aggressive. Unstable Ghoul isn't great either, but at least it does something. I'm really hoping for either a turn 4 play or one of the set cards like Hellfire and Darkbomb at this point. And with dropping the Drake, it's pretty clear that he will draw at least 2 cards from the Acolyte, but there's not much I can do about this efficiently, so I don't even have to try. As for the next turn, there might be a Belcher turn or something else, depending on what he does. Let's see what he does. Okay, so he plays a Death Spite and goes all out face, which probably means that he will even draw 3 cards from his Acolyte, because I can just trade into the Ghoul. And given that he cannot burst me down at this point, it might be too soon to play this Sludge Belcher. So what I can do is trade, play the second Drake, and then just pass. Just because I need the taunts later when he can play a combo like Warsong Commander, Frothing Berserker, a lot of Enrage, Whirlwind cards. But at this point he hasn't drawn so many, and Warsong plus Frothing would have been already 6 mana. So at this point it seems like he's just drawing cards, making a lot of patrons, and clearing my board. Yeah, I'm really hoping for a Hellfire here, because that's how this board would have been to clear. So the first move is to draw another card, hoping still for a Hellfire, which doesn't show up. So at this point it's all about keeping the patrons under control, which will probably involve some trading and at least one silence for this board. I'll pause here again. Whoops. This was probably a mistake, I have to say, because both Drakes will trade into 2 patrons, so I could have cleared both full health patrons and silenced the 3/2 instead, which means that the Owl would trade with the Grim Patron 2 next turn, and denying him a possible trade with the Owl with the silenced 3/3 that's going to survive, which might matter a lot. So this was a mistake in this game. That I kind of regret watching it now. I basically played this too fast, I think. At this point, the only thing I have to watch out for is big burst damage, but 19 HP seems fine at the moment. Especially because he used the Whirlwind last turn, so the possibility of him having some some very weird big turns goes down a bit. So he uses his cards to remove mine, and that's the trade that I talked about. If I would have silenced the 3-2 instead, his Grim Patron would have died instead of surviving as a 3-1. So the problem with this board now is that he only has 4 cards left, and I could drop something like a Dr. Boom if I feel comfortable at the moment, or I could drop something like a Belcher if I'm afraid of dying. But the problem with this board now is if he has a second Whirlwind or any kind of possibility of trading his board and getting off a good Battle Rage, I might be in a pretty bad shape because he could draw into all his combo cards. Like if I dropped the Belcher at this point, he could trade his Armorsmith into the Belcher, and then he would then he would draw 3 cards from the Battle Rage, and this doesn't even take into account that he might actually kill Belcher and also trade the 2/2 Taskmaster into the slime of the Belcher or something. Sorry. So what I'm going to do is just Hellfire to prevent him a big Battle Rage. Unfortunately, I cannot kill the Armorsmith, but well, you can have it all, right? And it seems like the decision was actually right because I just gave him 2 cards from Battle Rage, which was the best thing I could do at this point. He also plays Shredder, which is a little bit unusual. It seems like more like a mid-rangey, less combo-y version at this point. And my plan now is just to take control of the board and get it into my stage. He already used an Execute, he already used a lot of resources to clear my board earlier. So what I want to do is play the Mountain Giant and play the Belcher, because both trade very, very well with his board at this point. And as you might see, I just wanted to get the Belcher, but I misclicked. And actually, like the tooltip, when I hovered over the cards, showed the Belcher, but I somehow ended up with the Sunfury. So the hard decision after this was, do I want to tap or not? But after he cleared a lot of stuff earlier, and I want to get out my Molten Giant, and I still have a Taunt Giver with the Argus, I think I'm confident enough to tap at this point for a last tap. I also have 11 points of healing from minions in the deck, plus the Siphon in my hand, plus the Siphon Soul, so I can actually heal back up again if necessary. So the only question is, do I die here this turn if I tap? And this doesn't seem to be the case. Sorry, I'm still a little bit sick, as you might hear. So now he starts to think a lot, which means he doesn't have lethal at all, but tries to get the best play from him. So what I hope at this point is that he doesn't have a second Execute in hand, which he does, but this means that both Executes are gone at this point. Which is good for me too, because I still have the Molten Giant to go next turn. Even if he doesn't attack my face at all. And this pretty much makes clear that he has some kind of burst potential in his hand, and that he just wants to kill me now. Overriding the Fiery War Axe might imply that he has a Grom or a Warzone plus Frothing Berserker in his hand. But what is pretty clear is that the Molten Giant will come down this turn, and that it will be taunted up by the Defender of Argus. So the question remaining is what to play with it. Given that he doesn't have any more Executes and that I don't suggest him to run Owls, I think the best option is to play a Belcher instead of being a little bit more cowardish and playing the anti-Healbot. Playing the Belcher with the Defender of Argus also has the upside of getting it out of Death Spite range, which means that he will has to use the Death Spite and do something else to kill the Belcher, because both executes are gone. Which also means that at this point he isn't even through the 9/9 taunt, right? So he has to do something to get through this board, and I still have a lot of healing in my hand. The only problem is I'm at 4 HP, but he still again he used both executes at this point, and I don't suggest him to run like 1 or 2 owls. So he might just has to use a lot of resources now as heart removal replacement, which means that I still have a lot of good options in my hand for the future turns, whereas he just wastes resources over resources, which means that I will be able to outlast him in the long run. At least that's the plan for now. Of course, something unexpected might happen all the time. So let's see what he does here. And it's going to be a Frothing, which probably means that he will clear the Molten Giant with the Frothing after a big turn. Which also means that charging Frothing is gone, and that I will be able to refill the board with my hand at the moment. Yeah, that's a really big Frothing. So if he had an Owl in his hand right now, it would have a big problem, of course, but doesn't seem to be the case. So there's another weapon which makes the play of overriding his first Fiery Warlock a lot better. Like at this point my board trades very well with his. He has 2 cards in hand. I don't think that he can burst me down too much. So but he has a weapon still, so I both want to heal and taunt up, so I guess I will play the anti-Healbot and the Sludge Belcher and trade his stuff away. Because it's still hard for him to get through the Belcher just with his Fiery Warlock. I don't know, the maximum of stuff he could do is like Grum plus Inner Rage or Taskmaster to hit this Belcher really hard. And then get rid of the slime with his Fiery Warlock, and then I still have the Siphon Soul to deal with the Grum. So this play is a little bit more protective for him, but it's also rather tame on the long run. So I guess I can just, given that he has only 1 card left, I think I will just kill one of the Belchers, and then just get something bigger on the board like the Dr. Boom to finish the game quickly. Dr. Boom also means that I can play an Earthen to heal myself even more up. Yep. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. And which means he has like burst potential of, I don't know, 6 damage at the moment. And even if the card he holds is Grom, he still needs an activator. Which means he would have to draw exactly Inner Rage or Taskmaster. He played at least 1 Taskmaster already, and his deck with Shredders and Belchers and stuff doesn't seem to be as aggressive as if it would run Inner Rages. So at this point he drops his combo cards, which are not going to be useful at all anymore, because he cannot charge, obviously. So at this point I just have to clear this board. I still have an Owl, so I can prevent something from happening with this Boombot. And I can make sure to kill one of the slimes if the second Boombot just hits for 1 or something. Or 3 on the... Well, I don't need to hit the Frothing actually, because there's a Siphon Soul. And it's exactly what's going to happen. Mortal Coil on this one. And now he's out of resources completely, and I have the board. 18 HP, so it should be safe here. Yeah, well, Thaurissan is not a big threat without any cards in hand, obviously. So I think I can just play my own, tap one time and kill this guy, which means I'll have a lot of resources, a lot of cheaper resources even. And the board is still mine, 16 HP is still, like, I still have an anti-Healbot, so I don't even have to watch out for a 2-turn Grommash turn, and that's what Gaara knows also. So he chooses to concede at this point, and the game is over. Yeah, that's about this. 2 more videos are going to come with this deck. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you around next time. Bye bye.